Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, so after the second day of meetings between Todd Blanche of the Justice Department and Jeffrey Epstein's and Ms. Maxwell and her attorney, the attorney for Ms. Maxwell had some comments saying about the meeting that this is not a situation where we were asking for anything in return for testimony or anything like that. Of course, everybody knows Ms. Maxwell would welcome any relief. Todd Blanche said he would reveal what he learned from Maxwell at an appropriate time, whatever that means. So that's kind of how this story went, and that was a byline of July 25th. Ms. Maxwell last week, within the last few days, got moved out of the prison in Tallahassee to a prison outside of Austin. This is the same prison that houses Ms. Holmes, who was the former CEO of Theranos, for defrauding investors and lying about the capabilities of the product that she was heading up there. So if it's a prison good enough for a CEO, it's good enough for Ms. Maxwell, isn't it? I'm not bothering trying to pronounce her first name. So, wow, she'll welcome any relief, and now she's been given relief. This is well, they're both minimum security prisons. This one apparently has, dormitories and less guards to prisoner ratios. And while the prisoners do work, they also have access to foreign language classes, can watch TV, play sports, that sort of thing. So it's a nicer facility. Maybe not it's not freedom, but it's nicer than what she had. There was going to be a meeting for like an August 11th deposition, but that got canceled. Let's see. However, Friday, the scheduled August 11th deposition was definitely postponed by the chair of the House Oversight Committee, Representative James Comer. Said while the committee was willing to continue to engage in good faith negotiations, it would not grant her congressional immunity or provide questions in advance. Two conditions Maxwell's lawyers had requested. Okay, so, they're saying, well, how can we trust what she says? And we're not going to give her immunity. Okay, does that mean Trump's going to pardon her? What's going to happen with this one? So I'm kind of curious as there's jockeying for position over here. And I don't believe James Comer's on the side of the United States. So, for entertainment purposes only, let's take a look at the energy around Ms. Maxwell after her talks with the Justice Department and her getting moved to a nicer facility. What's going on with that? Okay? Come on down, let's see what we've got going on here. Okay, it's a gesture. It is a gesture of kindness, a gesture of generosity. That's what this is. Crossed with the Four of Swords, keeping quiet. And underneath is the Tower card. Okay, so I've heard some readers say that Ms. Maxwell is quite the mastermind and has threatened Trump, and like the birthday card was a message to Trump in the Trump campaign that Ms. Maxwell and company are sitting on a ton of information. And we've shown a little bit of that. And, you can buy my silence or we can tear the whole thing down. But there's a little bit of a tit for tat. Like, okay, there's a generosity given in here. We'll keep things calm on the down low. But underneath it all is some big energy. Sudden toppling energy, whether this is a pardon, a commutation, or a threat to tear down the Trump administration if they don't give her what she wants. So, buying silence and complicity. In the past, you got the Nine of Wands. To me, this is Trump looking over his shoulder, knowing that this woman could expose him with regards to Jeffrey Epstein. I don't think this is Ms. Maxwell looking over her shoulder in prison, although, I don't like being in prison, certainly screams from that card. Current situation is the Two of Coins. Evidence is mounting. how do we kind of diffuse the situation here? How can we make this situation better? Now, again, one of the things that we've speculated is you remember all the Democrats who wronged you, but you forget most of the Republicans. Remember most of the Democrats, forget most of the Republicans. Now, in order to sell this properly, you have to name some Republicans, and you have to leave some Democrats off. Why? Because you need allies on both sides of the political aisle to protect you. The Republicans that would be named are probably retired Republicans or weak Republicans that are non-consequential. For the Democrats, it's anybody's free game, but you got to keep some powerful ones in your back pocket so that they're concerned that they don't get named next. Overarching energy is the Queen of Pentacles. Again, women and babies. This is about trafficking information. Lesson we learn is the sword of truth. Truth can come out. Though we have to work together on this because the truth, she's got the truth, and the truth is going to hurt, and the truth will topple empires. Out comes the Three of Cups. Unfortunately, I don't believe that's the victim celebrating. I believe this is going to be Ms. Maxwell celebrating. First off, I think there's three things that are coming, and she got the first one right now. She got moved out of her prison in Florida and got moved to Texas. I think that was a small gesture that the Trump administration has heard her loud and clear, and they want to continue working with her. An easy concession. It puts Ms. Maxwell in a better frame of mind. Now, again, it's not freedom. It's not commutation. It's not a pardon. But it's a better living arrangement for what it is, right? It didn't go worse. It got better. So, it's kind of like hey, we heard you. We're going to make things a little bit easier on you. And this little olive branch so that we can continue to negotiate until we come to a firm agreement as to what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Of course, now that you have less guards per prisoner, but it's still a minimum security prison. Just a little four-carder. Is she in any danger by being in this lesser secure prison because you have less oversight? Just a little four-carder. Is she in any more danger than she would be? Two of Swords. You got the good side and the bad side. You got the Ten of Wands, the burden, the Nine of Cups, and the Hanged Man upside down. Oh, geez, that's an ironic card. And the Page of Cups. Jeffrey Epstein, just going to say. I think she thinks she's in a better spot. I think she's more comfortable with this, but it's not lost on her what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. So, she's playing. This is a very dangerous game that's being played. I think she's pleased with this gesture, generally speaking. So I think she views it as a positive. And maybe by working with this administration, she could avoid the same outcome. Notice, in this case, she'd be hanging by her foot and not by any other body part. She's got to uphold. People have to uphold their end of the deal on these things. Again, there was speculation from other readers that maybe Trump would promise her a pardon, but not right away because it would be too obvious. That type of thing. But that's possible, I suppose. I don't know why Trump would care, but he would care a little bit. Obviously, he cares a lot about this, so he would have to be very concerned with the optics. And maybe that's one of those things that they're going to promise her a pardon later, and or commutation later, and by moving her to a better facility, a more palatable facility, it's a way of saying, hey, look, we'll do this in a year's time, but you're going to have to wait a year, but we can at least make that year wait better for you. See what I mean? that sort of thing. No, I don't think she's going to be off while she's in there. Will Trump pardon or commute or do some other presidential maneuver like pardoning or commuting a sentence, something like that, to Ms. Maxwell prior to her testimony, prior to any planned testimony in front of Congress? I mean, she may never testify in front of Congress, but if she was planning on testifying in front of Congress and she wanted at least immunity for that, would Trump consider pardoning her for her crimes in order to quid pro quo? Would a pardon or a commutation be part of a quid pro quo between Trump and Ms. Maxwell? Maybe that's how I want to frame it. Page of Cups. Looking at the offer, contemplating it, coming to an agreement. Or looking at the offer, here's the thing. I think she looks at the offer and she thinks the offer stinks. Now, funny, that card was underneath the previous reading here. It's like it's a minor offer, kind of like this isn't all of it, is it? They haven't come to an agreement yet. And underneath is the Four of Coins. And I think it's because Trump hasn't heard what she has to say. And he will not commit to giving her what she wants until she's delivered. In other words, he wants her to deliver first, and then he will decide if she gets the prize for delivering. So he wants to keep the cards close to his vest. But it also means that in some ways they're both negotiating from the same perceived version of strength. She wants him to give first, or else she's going to hold information back or unleash information. He wants her to be cool, and he's going to hold back what he can provide. They need to come to an agreement on that. In the past, you got the Eight of Wands. Things happening quickly, changing quickly. The whole landscape's changing. Maybe that's why they're both holding their cards to their vests. They're not willing to agree right away. They're doing small steps towards it. Yeah. Current situation, Three of Wands. They're waiting till either things calm down or less information's coming in so that they have a better view of the path forward. Right now, I don't think they really see the path forward. And it could be that more information's coming in from overseas. The Empress card, another card I use for trafficking. The Madam, as it were. She's sitting on a lot of information. And she considers herself nobility, if as it were. She was a socialite. And certainly sitting in prison is beneath her, so to speak. So in some ways she holds a lot of the cards. Because she can name names. And powerful people won't like that. But at the same time, she's also been shown guilty in 20 years in prison. This is also waiting for the Supreme Court decision. Maybe the Supreme Court's going to give him a gift, but I don't think they've got that yet either. Speaking of gifts, waiting for the gift to be given. Making friends. Again, also adults and children. I was going to say, it's kind of a card for... I've got like 3 cards with trafficking. This one, and the Queen of Pentacles. Lesson to be learned. Who's going to give first? Are they going to play nice or not? Oh dear. Outcome is the King of Swords. Legal. Making a decision, a harsh decision. Can we get clarifications on that? Disappointment. Being left out in the cold. Lastly, in the Three of Cups, celebration. Especially when you have this. With this is traditionally a MAGA card for me. I would not be surprised if he gives her something. it's just kind of, he's going to sit back and judge. He wants to see what happens. You want this? You got to do what I tell you to. You knock down some cups, but you leave others untouched. Because I don't care. You can rot. You can rot in prison, or you can be set free. Choice is yours. He's going to play hardball with her. I think that's what's going to happen with Trump. He's going to play hardball with her. I wouldn't have guessed that going in. I would have thought he would have caved in and offered her clemency up front. And he may still do that. But right now, I think the thing is with Trump is he's unwilling to commit at this time. He's trying to see if he can distract people off of it so he doesn't have to make that decision. He's not forced into a corner yet. It's almost like you have to force him into a corner in order to get him to capitulate. How is Ms. Maxwell currently feeling about her situation? She's been transferred to a more minimum security prison. And there's ongoing negotiations between her lawyer and the Department of Justice. How is she feeling with regards to this? Four of Wands. Welcome to your new prison facility. Crossed with the Nine of Wands. Looking over your shoulder. I think she likes this place better. I think she felt uncomfortable with the last one. It was making her nervous. Like, she was a lot more concerned about the population there. Underneath it all is the Queen of Pentacles. There we go again. How is she feeling about this? I think this is better. But again, she's got that information she's sitting on with the Epstein case. And the Past the World card, she grew up in Europe, has had her world come to an end when she was sent to prison. And now, she has strong emotions about that. I was watching a body language expert read on her. The stress levels for her in prison were very high. I think, again, she might be a bit more excited with this change of venues. Overarching energy is the Five of Wands. Chaos, though. Chaos and confusion. She's really torn up. She's not relaxed. She's wound up. She's still wound up tight. A lesson to be learned is the Nine of Cups. I think with this movement, she's feeling more confident that she can pull this off and be set free. Yeah, I think she feels like that she's getting closer and closer to her road to freedom. So she's optimistic. She is optimistic on this one. That's kind of what I'm getting from this, is that this move helped. This move helped her psyche. But Trump's not going to give. Trump doesn't pay up front and trust that you'll deliver later. That's not who he is. He's going to want her to deliver, and then he will decide what she's worthy of after she's delivered. All right. In this Maxwell Trump situation, any other little four-carder, anything else you'd like to share with the audience here? What is it that we need to know that we haven't asked? Six of Swords, going up the river, calming things down, women and children. Got a new start. Winning all ties, fighting with advantage, fighting off inquiries, and the Devil card with the High Priestess. I think she's going to be set free because she knows a lot and she's fighting from a position of advantage. She's going to be set free in order to cover for the devil and cover for the horrific acts that are underneath there. It would be like Trump sets her free, then kicks her out of the country. She's in exile. But yeah, I think if she were set free, she's not going to stay in the United States. She'd go back to France or someplace like that, and not be around here. So just brace yourself thinking that that's going to happen. So what does that mean? Given the current energy, it means that if she does testify in front of Congress, she's going to testify in such a way that Donald Trump and the Republicans, or Donald Trump especially, Donald Trump's exonerated. He could care less about anybody else. But Donald Trump himself would be exonerated by her testimony. And as a reward for that, she would be set free and she can leave. Is that the end of it? It might be, but that's just the energy right now. Things are always changing. New information's coming out, and if he does that, okay, so she goes free. How is MAGA going to react to Trump freeing the one person who was convicted in a major pedophilia ring, sex trafficking ring? You know, there's going to be a lot of people who would be really upset by that. I know it's hard to believe because it seems like they will bend over backwards and take anything dear leader gives to them. But this one just is different for whatever reason. We'll find out. We'll find out. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you found it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.